Hello. Hey guys. Welcome in. Welcome to the channel and to this evening's live. My name is Tanya and it's good to see everybody. Hopefully you guys are having a great Tuesday. Good start to your week. Good start to your week. Um, if you appreciate tonight's case coverage, please take a second and hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. We do talk true crime daily here. So hopefully that's what you'll do. That's what some of y'all will do. I'll go ahead and say hi to everybody in the chat. Welcome in, everybody. It's good to see you guys. It's good to see everybody. I saw people were in here chatting before. Princess was in here, Cheryl, and Parker, and Panda. Mary Beth's here, Callie, Ashley, Barb. Well, welcome in. Hey, Alicia. Hey, Otto. Welcome in, everybody. Ladybug's here. It's good to see you guys. Cat's Life. Misbehaving. Hey, it's been a while. And Linda became a member. Well, she became you already were a member. You're a member for 3 months. I love that. I love that. Thank you for being a member for so long. And you get your arm changed, your little titanium arm. It went from, I think, bronze to gold or silver to gold. I think it's silver. I think it's bronze when you first start out. So I haven't, but I think Heather, I don't know if they're going to come out with it. I don't know if they're going to come out with them publicly because it's like she's underage, but they did say that the defense was going to drop some documents. That's what I heard. Or the defense wants discovery, so if they want discovery, it'll come public. There was a couple different cases I was talking about today, so earlier. Hey Trixie. 1 month left. Look at that, Kaylee. 11 months. Wow, that's a long time. Thank you. Oh wow. I love that everyone's been here for a while. I love that. We've all been here. We're all in it for the long run. Look at that. OG titanium for life. Parker, 11 months. I love that. That's exciting, I can't believe it's already been a year. It's already been like there's members that have been members over a year. And I'm like, what? What? I didn't even know I had memberships that long. It doesn't seem like that long. But time flies when you're having fun. But if you'd like to subscribe to my second channel, I'll add the link in throughout the live. Also, if you'd like to join our channel membership, I'll add that throughout the live as well. If not, Nightbot will be in here doing its thing. But hi to everybody that's coming back. Hi to everybody that is new. And now sit back, relax, enjoy the rest of the live. It's your time to just chill out, You're approaching 14 months. Man, that's been a while. I know, I wonder what Vincent is because he was like my first member. I'll have to ask him. So I wanted to show you guys this before we got started with the live. If you're wondering, like, whose arm are we looking at? So this is the Gonzalez Facebook page. This is Christy's arm. And it looks like she got a new tattoo maybe in replace of her old one. So I think that she got this one done to begin with. Maybe she wasn't like happy with it or something because this is the start of her new one. We're going to cover this whole tattoo up. And then this is her new tattoo. Now that is gorgeous. The colors are beautiful. Very pretty. It looks like she might have kept the writing though. No, she didn't. She got it bigger. But very pretty. I thought it was pretty. I thought I'd share it with you guys, Hey, Mr. Rosebud, I meant to say hi to you earlier. Isn't that pretty? I'll put it back on the pretty one, the pretty picture. I think that's so pretty. And then someone got her a necklace and I was reading the box that it came in and it was so sad. I probably couldn't get through reading it all to you guys without crying, but it was very sweet. But I just think that's the cutest little tattoo. I mean, little, not very little though. Pretty big. That's like her whole arm pretty much, but it's very pretty. It is very pretty. Maybe she did that for Mother's Day. I'm sure that it's hard for her and all the moms, that lost any kids. I'm sure it's extremely hard to be, alone on Mother's Day. As a daughter, it could be hard. That was a good idea, wasn't it? Did a good idea. Hey, that was a good idea. Hey, Walt. Our cozy corner of YouTube. Let's see. So Bryan Kohberger, our friend Bryan, just kidding. Speaking of which, did I see Aussie in here? Hey, Aussie. Just because I said our friend Bryan Kohberger, that made me kind of laugh. He was supposed to be in court today. They were going to make decisions on the 4th and the 5th, motion to compel discovery, and then the IGG information was going to be addressed as well. They ended up vacating the court proceedings today, and they reset it. So I don't know what my nose is itching, sorry. So let's go back, because on May 2nd is when we got the document that was the order setting for all the disclosure. This is when you have to have it in by. And then today comes, and we're going to give you more time. Make a decision. I like Judge John Judge. I really do. But he needs to make a decision. One decision, a decision, a little decision, something for us. But let me get this up and blown up a little bit for you guys and put me right down here. I think I could be right here and I won't cover up anything that's on the screen. I should just leave these on, sorry, whenever I do stuff. If you guys don't mind, what we're going to do is we're going to read over documents really quick, which is just 2. 2 short documents. Then we will recap everything with like a short video, and then we'll watch Nancy. And then at the end of Nancy, I'll recap with like a little article. And then at the end of the live, if you guys remind me, I'll tell you guys something. Okay. So this is order setting disclosure deadlines for hearing on motion to compel. So this came out on May the 2nd, I believe. Let me check here at the bottom. May the 3rd, May 2nd, May 3rd. And it says here, based on the May 2nd hearing, the court orders the following. Any witness, including expert reports, a summary of what each witness is expected to testify and exhibits the defense intends to present at the May 14th or May 16th hearings on defendants' 4th and 5th motions to compel must be disclosed to the state and filed with the court no later than May 7th. So defense, anything that they're going to like be bringing in, witnesses, any of that, exhibits, they have to have it into the court, into record by May 7th. Okay. Any witness, including expert reports, all the same stuff that the state intends to offer in response to defendant's witness. So whatever the state says, okay, this is what we're going to put forward because that's what defense is putting forward. So the prosecution is going to put this forward. That must all be disclosed and filed with the court no later than May 10th. So they've known since May 2nd that the defense needed their stuff to be in by May 7th, and then the prosecution needed to have a rebuttal or whatever they were going to do in by the 10th, like whatever they were going to bring in by the 10th. So ask me why we're vacating this proceeding on the 14th to give them additional time. Why? Why are we getting additional time when these were deadlines? These were deadlines that were set to move the trial forward, to move everything forward. I mean, if I was one of these family members, I'd be really upset right now. Be really upset. Because they were already upset that he can't make a decision. Because I'm going to read you the new document that came out right before the live. Well, it was probably like this afternoon actually, because it was after we thought that they were going to start court proceedings. So it says order vacating and rescheduling hearing dates and opening some hearings to the public. So that's a good thing because both hearings today were going to be closed to the public. So we weren't going to know anything that was going on. So I guess now they're going to open up some of the hearings to the public. So based on the agreement of the parties, the hearing scheduled for May 14th at 1:30 p.m. for defendants' 4th and 5th motions to compel is vacated. This will allow both parties and the court additional time to review the information that was submitted by the parties between May 7th and May 10th. That's what today was for. Defendants' 4th and 5th motions to compel will be heard on May 30th at 10 a.m. So they moved it for another 2 weeks. After reviewing the submissions of the parties filed on May 7th and May 10th, the court has determined that the hearing will be open to the public. So I'm assuming it's not that much. It's a nothing burger if they're going to open it to us. Thus the court's May 2nd, 2024 order granting state's motion to close May 14th, 2024 hearing is withdrawn. If during the hearing issues arise that must be addressed in a sealed proceeding, the court will clear the courtroom and discontinue the live stream of the proceedings on the court's YouTube channel. Hopefully nobody says anything they're not supposed to say. I mean, we may hear it. We may just have to put closed captionings and everything on. I was just reading the chat. Haven't looked over here for a while. Welcome on in, everybody. Hey, Citizen Sleuth. Hey, Sasha. Hey, keep grinding up. Hi, everybody. I was on the other page. Hey, Panda. Welcome in. Welcome in, everybody. You know, I like to say that a lot. If that was my job, that would be a really good job, just to be the welcoming crew. Oh my God, Walmart. I could do that. Welcome in. Welcome in. So basically what these documents are telling you, me, and everybody else is nobody can make a decision in Latah County. We've been sitting here. Well, not me. I mean, I've been hanging around. Bryan Kohberger's been sitting there waiting for his day in court. I mean, you know, they keep doing their thing, but I mean, he's just sitting there rotting away. If I was an innocent person, I would be screaming right about now. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Because it's been a long time for him. So hopefully they'll have a decision in the next court proceeding. So it looks like the defendant's fourth and fifth motion to compel will be heard on May 30th. And that hearing will be open to the public. Now, I don't know about the IGG information. I think that will probably be sealed. So that's what I'm assuming. Let's see. On May 23rd, 2024 at 2:30 p.m., the defense will call a witness to testify. May 23rd. So this is May 30th. Okay, so I guess they're going to have this one. This is weird. The testimony will okay, so I guess they're going to have two court proceedings. Maybe this is the only time that this witness could testify. So the defense is going to call someone to testify. The testimony will relate to defendant's fourth and fifth motions to compel because the witness is unavailable. Okay, to testify on May 30th, 2024. The witness testimony will take place on May 23rd, 2024. The hearing will be open to the public. However, if during the hearing issues arise that must be addressed in a sealed proceeding, the court will clear the courtroom and discontinue the stream of the proceedings on the court's YouTube channel. We're going to find a different way to say that. I have a feeling we're going to hear that a lot. Based on the argument of the parties, the hearing scheduled for May 16th at 3 p.m. for the IGG portion of defendant's fifth motion to compel is vacated and reset for May 30th at 1:30. So there's two on May 30th, I believe, or no, just one on, 10 a.m. and then at 1:30. And then on the 23rd at 2:30. Okay. This portion of the hearing will include arguments on defendant's motion to allow defense investigators to review IGG materials and defendant's motion to unseal parts of IGG materials. Isn't that what they had the first one about? With Bricka Barlow and Leah, whatever. If they're doing the same thing over again, I'm gonna scream. At this juncture, the hearing will be sealed as stipulated by the parties, so it's a sealed, so maybe not. In the event that the parties determine that the hearing can be open to the public, the parties must file a stipulation to open the hearings no later than May 24th, 2024, to provide adequate notice to the victims' families. Okay. Although no hearing is being set for May 31st, 2024, the court will reserve space on its calendar beginning at 10 a.m. that morning if additional time is needed to complete the hearing on defendant's motion to compel, including the portions pertaining to IGG information. Sorry, I had to cough. I didn't want to cough in your ears. Let me see. And let me know if you guys need anything, because I haven't been looking at the chat that much. Hey, Feisty. Welcome on in, everybody. I say that every time after I say someone's name. I'm so sorry. I can't help it. I just can't help it. I keep doing it. Let's see. Where do I want to go to next? Okay. Let's see. The next thing I wanted to play for you guys was this video. It came on earlier on News Nation. I think it was like this morning. But one of their correspondents on here, he talks with a lawyer. And the lawyer just puts his weigh in, like he weighs in on if he thinks Bryan Kohberger's trial will be moved out of Latah County. This was before the hearing was postponed, but it still has some good info in it. So I figured we would watch it and see how it goes. But it's only like 4 minutes. And then after that, we will head over and see what Nancy has to say because she did a new podcast. She ain't messing around. She's like, we're all running out of content. We're going back to Kohberger. I feel like that's what she says sometimes. Okay, good, feisty. And I'm like, I hope I'm not missing anybody. But I do like to say welcome in a lot. It's kind of like when the people at Chick-fil-A, they say, my pleasure. I'll be saying that next, my pleasure. So I'm going to go ahead and play this here for you guys. He already looks upset. But like I said, he's just going to talk with a lawyer, and the lawyer's going to give his input on whether he thinks the trial is going to be moved out of Latah County or not. Let me know what you guys think. I personally think, and I don't know anybody. I don't know nothing. But I personally don't think it's going to be moved out of Latah County. I don't see Bill Thompson not wanting to, take on that case. I mean, John Judge, I don't know. Him, he's either way, I feel like. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think.
Charged with first-degree murder in the deaths of 4 Idaho college students will be in court multiple times this week. Kohberger is accused of killing the 4 students back in November of 2022, 18 months since their deaths, and still no trial date has been set. The judge in the case is expected to decide on the defense's request for a change of venue. The defense team also claims the prosecution is withholding key evidence from them. Joining me now is criminal defense attorney and host of True Crime Daily Sidebar podcast, Joshua Ritter. Joshua, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well, Joshua. The judge has closed both court hearings to the public. Why would he do that? The defense team wants to keep the hearings public. Why would the benefit be for them to keep it closed and keep all this behind closed doors?
I think the judge is very aware of the amount of media attention that this case has been getting, especially on the internet. There's a lot of cyber sleuths, if you want to call them that, who've been following this case and just dissecting every piece of information that's been released. So these hearings, at least one of them, is going to include discussions about a lot of evidence, some of which will be used at trial. And I think he's just sensitive to the idea of having that discussion candidly in court and not having that disseminated to the public and perhaps affecting a potential jury pool. So it's just kind of a caution on the part of the judge to make sure that that doesn't take place.
Joshua, you've been covering this from the beginning, and I know that you've heard all kinds of theories. Also, the hearings are taking place in the county seat of Latah County, which is Moscow, Idaho's population, roughly 26,000 people. Do you expect the judge to move this high-profile case to a different location?
That does seem like the way things might be going, especially with the defense has been taking this poll that there was a lot of discussion about previously. They've been actually doing a telephone poll with people in the area to see how much they know already about the case. The defense is very concerned about how this has affected that community, and I think rightfully so. That it's a small enough community that this seems to be the only thing folks were talking about for a very long period of time. And as it continues to come up in the news, it seems to be the only thing that they talk about. So they're concerned that somehow a jury pool will have already made up their minds about this absolute tragedy that struck their community. So they're making their best efforts to have it moved. And I seem to think that the judge is leaning in that direction.
Yeah, Joshua, anytime you have 4 college students killed randomly, that definitely can be top of mind for people in that community. Now, Kohberger's defense is saying that the prosecution is not giving them the evidence connected to this crime that they are entitled to. Typically, how do judges generally rule in situations like these where one side allegedly isn't giving all the evidence that they're supposed to be giving up?
Usually a lot of deference is given to the defense because they're the ones who are playing catch up. Much of this evidence is in the control or custody of the prosecution. And the rules say that simply they should be turning all of that over. It's not up to the prosecution to decide what the defense gets or what the prosecution plans on using, therefore what the defense should have access to. It's really their responsibility to turn everything over. And the judge to make the decision whether or not that's actually admissible in court. And so they have, I think, some legs to stand on here when it comes to some of the requests regarding cell phone evidence or tests that were conducted by the prosecution. But the problem is the prosecution is saying, listen, we just don't have some of what they're asking for. Some of it were tests conducted by the FBI, and we don't have it ourselves. So how do you expect us to turn it over? So we'll see how the judge hashes that out today and later this week.
Criminal defense attorney Joshua Ritter. Josh, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to join in.
I was trying to not get her to get us. Let me put myself back on the screen here. Okay. So I just wanted you guys to hear that. So he thinks that the trial will be moved. I don't know either way, because they were saying they wanted a spring trial 2025, but I know that the prosecutor was saying, why don't we use the high school during the summer months, because the kids will be out of high school, and I guess the high school is right across the street, and it's a lot bigger of a building, more people can fit in there, better places for people to park, things of that nature. So and the judge was, he was contemplating it, but they ended up, extending the trial. They ended up moving it till the spring. So I don't know when they're going to have it, or if they will have it in that county. I think that will bring a lot of money to that county. So that is something I'm thinking about, because when the Pike County massacres happened, they didn't move that. 8 people got massacred in one night. They didn't move that out of that little county. They were like, nope. And there was corrupt cops and everything involved in that. And they were like, we're keeping it here. Like, okay, buddies. But we'll watch Nancy. This is her podcast. So normally if she puts out an episode, she puts out the podcast first, and then a day or two later, she'll put out the video version of it on YouTube. But I'll read you the little paragraph that says here that what they're going to go over tonight. Yeah, it should be this year, although they shouldn't have to wait. It'll be from November 2022. And let's say they just do it in June 2025. But we know that's not going to happen probably. They're going to end up waiting 3 years. It's just insanity. Ashlyn Couch, a former roommate. And I don't know if you guys saw our last episode over Idaho 4, but Ashlyn Couch, she used to be a roommate at the house. She came forward and was talking about her last text and stuff with Maddie. And we watched it the other day. So it says, a former roommate of the Idaho students killed is speaking out. Couch transferred her lease at 1122 King Road to Xana Kernodle just 6 months before Kernodle, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee were slain in the home. Couch remembers getting an alert from the university and immediately reaching out to friends still in Moscow. Couch's last text to Mogen before learning of her death was, "Are you okay?" Couch followed up in a group chat with friends, "Has anyone heard from Maddie?" Couch says the thought of the murders could have happened earlier is unsettling, commenting that you never know how long someone is watching your house. Yeah. We also learn a friend of an officer working on the Bryan Kohberger murder investigation says Kohberger was very careful in the days before his arrest. The source says the cop followed Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and observed him wearing plastic gloves while picking up groceries at a local Giant store. The cop also said that Kohberger's cell phone pings matched the movements of the victims for weeks before the murders. Yeah, what's up with him in the gloves? But I can't, I'm going to say this, though. I am going to say this. And Kohberger's defense is the only thing I'm going to defend him on. And I mean, I wouldn't be wearing gloves outside, so this isn't really a defense for him. But I wear gloves when I clean, like disposable gloves. But that's because I'm cleaning. But I don't see me going to the grocery in them, pushing my cart with my gloves on. Would you guys do that? I usually just take that little hand wipes, wipe it down, spray hand sanitizer on me, you know? Now, Kohberger, he takes it an extra step. He's like, I'm just going to go ahead and put on my gloves. I don't know. It's very weird to me. Bagging garbage with gloves. That ain't recycling, y'all, either. Someone said I was recycling one time. He was at the Albertsons wearing gloves, we heard. Now he's over in Albrightsville. Again, not as outside of his house wearing gloves. He just be wearing the gloves everywhere. Now, I wonder if that's why his hands were all like chafed up. Could it be because he was wearing gloves? It has to be. And why are we just not putting that together? Because we were talking about like him scrubbing his hands and stuff, but what if it's because he was wearing gloves? Maybe they was too tight for his hands. Maybe he was wearing smalls and needed larges, but I don't know. But I think it was from the gloves. Maybe he was scrubbing, but I don't know. Yeah, he was squeaky. He was wearing them. Yeah. Taking his trash out, leaving old dad's is in. No, I've experienced OCD. No, honey. Uncle Benny's, I've got the worst OCD you will ever see in your whole life. Believe me, I wish it would go away. My brother had it. He would wash his hands 18 times, wash, soap, wash, dry, 2 times on the doorknob, twice, do it again. And you have to do it so many times. I mean, yeah, OCD is nothing to mess with, but you don't take out your trash and then leave your dad's trash in, save your trash and throw your dad's trash away. Like OCD people, we don't touch trash. We just don't. If there's trash like that, like nasty trash, somebody's going to be picking that up for me. Like, There's stuff I just can't do. But maybe that's me. There's just stuff I cannot do. But yeah, my brother had really bad. Yeah, and counting during, washing them. Ozzy was so bad. He finally got married and his wife helped him with that habit. Like, I mean, it was bad. He got on and off his motorcycle, turned it on and everything 27 times one night. I mean, this was repeatedly every night, every time he would do it. Like, and it was like, I had to run out there and say, Tony, I'm telling Mom. He got off that motorcycle so fast when I said that. But I really do think that, yeah, he can't use OCD. Yeah, because then, shoot, a lot of us could use it. Yeah, I really do have it's the worst OCD. Like everything is marked in my house. It's bad. I'm surprised my iPad doesn't say iPad on it. But I think this will be good to listen to. I did go to that Albertsons, not that specific one, but I went out to one when I was in California because I'd never been in one before. It's basically just like your regular grocery store. Now I don't know what she means by local giant store. If she means, I know like in Ohio, we have like Giant Eagles, like a grocery store, or if it's just like a giant, like big box giant. I don't know what she means. So we'll figure that out. Feisty Justy, no, I don't. I do when I have to. If I'm by myself, I'll pick up the dog poo, but it's in a lavender smelling bag. But Vincent normally comes with me and I walk the dogs and he's on bag duty. So, and we just love her here. We love Nancy. Nancy's actually, I folded her down like the cardboard cutout because I was trying to make sure I didn't break her the other day. So I'll have to pull it out later. But I do have overlays. So I do have pictures to go over this. I got a few more new ones. It's really hard to download pictures for Idaho 4. They're all like locked images, but I did get a few new ones. So I've got like plenty to show you guys. So this is like a 39-minute podcast, but it does have a few commercials. So we'll go ahead and we'll get right into it. Thank you guys for being here tonight. If you don't mind taking a second, hit the like button. If you appreciate the coverage, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. We talk true crime every day here. Every day. Every single day.
Reaching out to friends still in Moscow. Couch's last tackling couch.
Mogen having no. Anyone heard a final
I got it where it needed to be.
breaking
Not available in
evidence? And did Kohberger's cell phone?
Okay.
Kohberger actually
driving. Allstate Fire.
I'm going to stop it there so everyone can, program their stuff because that was a lot of going back. So sorry about that. I swear that I had this on the right time.
And Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook,
I guess
Illinois.
not.
Crime Stories with Nancy Grace.
breaking news tonight. Did Idaho slay suspect Bryan Kohberger actually wear plastic surgical gloves in the grocery store for weeks after the quadruple murders to avoid leaving a trail of evidence? And did Kohberger's cell phone pings track along with the victims for weeks before the murders? This as the victim's former roommate breaks her silence to reveal a final text to slay victim Maddie Mogen in an eerie premonition. Good evening. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us.
I texted like our group of friends and I just had said, has anyone heard from Maddie? And I remember like my last text message to her was like, are you okay? And I feel like right then and there, I kind of just knew that something was wrong.
That emotional sound of the former roommate from our friends at KXLY. You were hearing Ashlyn Couch as she desperately tried to reach Maddie Mogen, having no idea what had happened. Again, thank you for being with us. A lot happening in the Bryan Kohberger case. Joining me an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But first, listen to this.
Ashlyn Couch transferred her lease at 1122 King Road to Xander Kernodle just 6 months before Kernodle, Ethan Chapin, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Gonzalez were slain in the home. Couch remembers getting an alert from the university and immediately reaching out to friends still in Moscow. Couch's last text to Mogen before learning of her death was, "Are you okay?" Couch followed up in a group chat with friends. "Has anyone heard from Maddie?" Couch says the thought that the murders could have happened earlier is unsettling, commenting that you never know how long someone is watching your house.
Wow. Again, you are hearing from KXLY. That was Ashlyn Couch speaking, trying again desperately to get in touch with, we now know, murder victim Maddie Mogen. With me an all-star panel, straight out to Dave Mack, crimeonline.com investigative reporter. Dave, explain to me the time sequence as to what we are hearing from Ashlyn Couch, the former roommate there at King Road.
Well, Ashlyn was talking about how 6 months before this happened, she actually was moving. And so Xana Kernodle took over her part of the lease on the King Road home, got her room. But Ashlyn was still in contact with her friends from there. And so during that time period when the murders happened, an alert from the college went out and said, we've had a homicide near campus. And immediately Ashlyn Couch thought of her friends in the King Road house. That's why she was reaching out right away.
Guys, this young girl, Ashlyn Couch, now speaking, will she be a witness? What can she tell us? Anything about the King Road address at all? And, you know, to Chris McDonough, director of the Cold Case Foundation, former homicide detective with over 300 homicides under his belt and host of the popular YouTube channel, The Interview Room. You know, Chris McDonough, the issue here as far as Ashlyn Couch goes, the fact that she had a premonition, that's probably not going to be admissible at trial. The fact that she tried desperately to reach anybody at the King Road address, specifically trying to find out what was happening with Maddie Mogen, when Maddie would not respond, that may not come into evidence. However, her knowledge of the home, and I found it very curious what she said when she said, you never know how long somebody has been watching your house.
Yeah, Nancy, that statement in of itself is fascinating. I mean, the fact that she has a premonition as well, you know, post the homicides here, that, you know, she's thinking, when I was there, could somebody have been watching me? And or obviously her roommates there. So that in itself, I think the authorities, you know, need to dig into that if they haven't already. That's pretty telling.
You know, hand in hand with what you were talking about is potential evidence. And we saw it in the Alex Murdaugh trial, where Murdaugh's phone was traveling along with his wife, Maggie Murdaugh, before her phone was thrown unceremoniously out of his vehicle the night of the murders. Now, reports that we're going to hear evidence that his phone, Bryan Kohberger, was spotted in cell phone pings in and around where the victims were in the weeks leading up to the murders. To Mark Tate joining me, high-profile lawyer out of Savannah, partner with the Tate Law Group. Mark, thank you for being with us.
It's my pleasure.
I know that it has been stated over and over now, contrary to what was first put out there by some of the victims' family members, that Kohberger did not specifically stalk any of the victims. But what do you make about that, of that potential evidence that where they went on several occasions, his cell phone would ping as well?
What do you make of that trash sitting out there for months on end, Nancy? They never did take that trash. It disappeared one day. but it was right before the, like, demolition. It was, like, that same day.
You think that's just a
What's in the
coincidence,
trash,
Martin Tate?
guys?
Well, it may be. You remember, he went to school just 8 miles away. And if I was defending this case, I would say, if you're going to use cell phone pings to prosecute him, then you have to look into the fact that he has put forth an acceptably under Idaho law that he has an alibi, which is he has to state a specific place where he was and the witnesses who will put him there. The witnesses here are the cell phone pings. So the problem that we have here is that the prosecution's going to use cell phone pings to put him stalking these victims. Then they're going to have to deal with the fact that he says those same pings put him in the woods stargazing or whatever thing it is he's going to claim he's doing. And so I think that the cell phone pings may be helpful to, and interestingly so, to both sides, because remember, the defendants here, the defense counsel, has a job to maintain that this man is innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. And they are fighting very hard. They have not made this easy for the prosecution.
Martin Tate, when you're between a rock and a hard spot, do you just immediately regurgitate innocent till proven guilty? We all know that. Everybody watching this program right now is a legal eagle. They want to know the very latest in every single case. We all know he's presumed until proven innocent. And my question to you, which you very skillfully evaded, is if his cell phone is moving along where they go. If they go to this food truck, there's his cell phone. If they go to that restaurant, oop, there he is again. I mean, isn't it true, Dave Mack, that at one bar he was actually asked to leave because he was making female patrons feel totally skeeved out by asking them questions such as, hey, what's your home address?
Oh, yeah. He freaked out. He actually scared people or women in this bar to a point where they actually made a note on the tickets when he had been there previously. It wasn't just one time, Nancy. He had been to this bar several times. And each time it got progressively worse to where none of the women wanted to wait on him anymore.
So, to you, Karen Stark joining us, and boy, do we need a shrink. Karen Stark joining us, renowned TV radio trauma expert, psychologist, consultant. It's KarenStark.com. Karen with a C. Karen, I'm going to circle back to the pings potentially traveling along together. And Karen, I haven't even gotten to this dude wearing gloves to the grocery store. I don't mean gloves because it's cold outside. I mean surgeon gloves. Okay. To the grocery store, Karen Stark. This is not during COVID where people would, spray 409 on their canned goods before they touch them. This is now, the here and now. For weeks after the murders, this guy.
Who the hell is spraying 405 or 409 or whatever that crap's called on their canned goods during COVID? What, Nancy? Nancy, what? Let's see if I can get her to say that again.
Potentially traveling along together. And Karen, I haven't even gotten to this dude wearing gloves to the grocery store. I don't mean gloves because it's cold outside. I mean surgeon gloves. Okay. To the grocery store, Karen Stark. This is not during COVID where people would, spray 409 on their canned goods before they touch them.
409 on the canned goods before you touch them.
This is now, the here and now. For weeks after the murders, this guy, Bryan Kohberger, was wearing surgical gloves everywhere he went. I'll go back to that. But what do you make? And I'd like to hear the former roommate, one more time. This is Ashlyn Couch on a very emotional statement. And this is from our friends at KXLY. Listen.
I texted our group of friends and I just had said, has anyone heard from Maddie? And I remember my last text message to her was are you okay? And I feel right then and there, I kind of just knew that something was wrong.
Karen Stark, how many times have we heard that where a victim's family member or friend would know instinctively that something was horribly wrong? And there's the whole issue of survivor's guilt, Karen Stark. If I had called her earlier, if I had asked her out that night, if we had been at what you fill in the blank, if, and then fill in the blank. That's what a lot of the friends are going through.
Of course they are, Nancy, because we all know what that's like when you think, if I had only been able to. And what's interesting, we all have, I'm pretty sure, that experience of You have a feeling, you have an instinct that something is wrong. And I know it happens to me. It used to happen with my mother all the time. It happens with my brother, my husband. Sometimes you are so connected to people that you just have a feeling that something is going on with them. I think it's even happened between the two of us. I've had that with you. You've had it with me. When you know somebody really well, you are connected to them over distance and you can feel it. And that's what she's describing. We can all relate to that. Wearing the gloves, that's him protecting himself. This is a man in total control, has to be on top of everything. And now he's wearing gloves so that you can't get near his DNA. I'm not surprised about that.
I'm going to put up like a timeline of Kohberger's travels to and from the Moscow home. But if you guys want to see that like more in depth and you want like a visual of that, I do have that video that I made a visual video, and it's on my playlist under Idaho 4.
You have had many people series body bags with Joe Scott Morgan. Joe Scott, thank you for being with us. I know in your line of business, having been to over 10,000 death scenes in your career, you have had many people say, I knew something was wrong. And it's one thing to embellish the facts as you look back retrospectively. But this young girl, Ashlyn Couch, was actually frantically trying to text all of her friends, trying to find out where is Maddie. Because, Joe Scott, you and I review a lot of evidence, it was atypical of Maddie not to respond. And that struck concern as the hours ticked by.
It gives you pause, I think, when you're conducting an investigation, if someone deviates from their normal day-to-day routines, and particularly when you're talking about responding to friends that are considered to be within your intimate circle, that's something that would give an individual pause. But Nancy, I have another kind of chilling little side note about this. And this young lady, you know, she moved on from her lease. And do you know when she moved on from her lease and turned it over? It approximates almost the same exact time that Kohberger shows up in Washington. This goes back to...
That's exactly what I said the other night.
I think probably June, May, perhaps. And that's another little chilling piece to this. Can you imagine now, retrospectively, that Ashlyn is sitting back and thinking about this, that, you know, almost one of those there but for the grace of God go I moments. And again, it adds another layer of horror to this, Nancy.
You know, one thing I've really hated throughout this, Joe Scott Morgan, is the way that some of the victims have been portrayed as like party girls, tramps, staying out too late, drinking. That's not true. Yes, they were out that night. They were heading into the Thanksgiving weekend. They were not out any later than any other student would be on a party night. None of these girls have arrest histories, nothing like that. They're all making good grades. They're beloved by their family. And you know what, Joe Scott Morgan, as I always say, birds of a feather flock together. When I look at Ashlyn Couch and I hear her speak, that tells me not only who she is, but who her friends are. I mean, Joe Scott, I don't see you hanging out with the dope dealer down at the corner. Why? Because you have nothing in common. In college, in law school, people go, hey, did you go to that party Friday night? I'm like, no, I was studying. I got 2 jobs and I've got to get through law school and I got to pass the bar on the first try. That's not what I was doing. I had my eye on a different prize. When I look at Ashlyn Couch, the good girl, that tells me who these victims were. And I've had it about up to here with people trashing them or their parents or their mom or I think it's so wrong. And that is going to happen at this trial unless the judge wakes up and pays attention.
One of the things I find fascinating about her interaction, and particularly where she was domiciled in this location. And, you know, you were mentioning earlier Could she testify? This is what I think personally that she's going to testify to. Kind of the standard rattle and hum of what it was like living in that home. Remember, as you had mentioned, talking about partying and all this sort of thing, one of the things that came out early on in this case was this thought that this was party central, right? No one knows the codes to the door. It's always open. The sliders are open. People can come and go as they please. Well, Ashlyn, I think, kind of from a historic standpoint, she will be able to talk about that as she lived there. And this is not something that perhaps just occurred out of the blue. If this was a party location, it had been a party location for a while. And I think that that's going to be rather probative in this case.
Hey, and another thing about that, Joe Scott Morgan, I will never forget. I moved into off-campus housing with some other co-eds. This is an undergrad. And I had my parents come visit. I got it all ready and cleaned it, everything. Well, wouldn't you know, this was on a Saturday night. They were coming Sunday after church. I was waiting on them. Little did I know that the guys below me, I lived on the top floor, the SAEs, I had no idea who they were. I never knew them, had a huge kegger in the front yard. And somebody had spray painted curse words all on the interior of when my parents walked in. I'm not even going to say what they were, but they alluded to sex acts. And my parents walked in to see this in red spray paint. I had not even seen it. I was, mortified. So I think you're right. This girl, Ashlyn Couch, could testify to, you say, the hum and the flow of living there. But I was thinking about something else, Joe Scott. I was thinking about, that sliding glass door that Chris McDonough and I kept looking at, wondering if that was the point of entry. I wonder if she could testify if it locked, if it was easily accessible. And there's one on each level. Were there ever alarms in the home? So many things. Also, during these parties, could somebody sneak in and out that wasn't invited? You see where I'm headed?
Yeah.
She is really a Pandora's box of information about the murder scene.
Yeah, she is. And, you talk about the functionality of those doors, access and opportunity. Of course, she's going to be the only one to be able to tell that tale now, isn't she, Nancy? Because we can't go back to the physical structure.
Well, you've got the two roommates that survived, remember?
Yeah, we do. But I think that perhaps in this particular case, when it gets down to it, can she actually, and again, this goes back to history, if the door was not functioning, the lock did not work, how far back in time does she go as like this place, her place of residence? How long had it been, for instance, if it was, how long had it not been functioning? I'd like to know the answer to that question. And the points of access, could someone be heard coming in through that door? Again, acoustically, she's going to be able to testify to that.
A friend of an officer working the Bryan Kohberger murder investigation says Kohberger was very careful in the days before his arrest. The source says the cop followed Kohberger in Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, and observed him wearing plastic gloves while picking up groceries at a local Giant store. The cop also said that Kohberger's cell phone pings matched the movements of the victims for weeks before the murders.
Oh, just wait till the jury hears this. Listen, you cannot, under the law, under the U.S. Constitution, as it has been interpreted through case law, cases that have occurred after the Constitution, of course, you cannot bring in a suspect, a defendant's bad reputation. You cannot bring in evidence of bad acts unless they can be verified and they are similar to the case in chief and were in a timely manner. But here, when the police surveillance, if this is confirmed, police surveillance are following Kohberger and they see him wearing plastic gloves into the grocery store, apparently wearing plastic surgical type gloves for weeks after the murders. Why? And you're going to hate this, Mark Tate, which makes me super happy. Mark Tate, renowned defense attorney. You know what I love to tell a jury? If you don't know a horse, look at his track record. Number one, while these same cops were watching Kohberger, they knew they were going to arrest him. They were trying to get DNA evidence. They already had some DNA evidence. Now they needed the dad's DNA evidence. Driving along with Kohberger, the dad's just chatting away like nothing's wrong. The Kohberger's like, What the hell? Why are the cops pulling us over? Okay, stay with me. They're watching Kohberger, and they see Kohberger outside putting the family trash in the neighbor's trash cans, the dumpster, wearing gloves. Wait, not done yet.
Yep.
Not done yet. There were other times he's seen wearing gloves. Why? Why is he wearing gloves all the time, Mark Tate? And how do you think that is going to affect a jury?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it was. It came to me. Wait a minute. I got to tell you one more.
What?
So when they arrest Kohberger,
Okay.
when they arrest him, when they go into his parents' home in the Poconos, they go in. It's like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Kohberger is standing there in the kitchen.
Sure.
Why is he up and everybody else is asleep in the middle of the night?
Why is he up with his shoes
in
on?
Shorts.
He's wearing Under Armour shorts, a long sleeve shirt, sweatshirt, so then underwear, shorts, socks, and shoes. Now, I ain't never seen a man dress so much to go to bed ever a day in my life. Normally, guys go to bed in their underwear, maybe underwear and a t-shirt. He was fully dressed, 1:45, 2 a.m. in the morning. He was ready to go. He was ready to run. Got your shoes on, running shoes.
I don't know,
And
Nancy. Didn't you
surgical
tell me you got up at
gloves.
3:30 this morning? Well, no one's checking out what you're wearing at
I
3
can
o'clock
tell you
in the
this
morning,
much.
but you were up
I
too.
did
It's not
have on
nefarious.
surgical gloves.
It wasn't gloves.
Mm-mm.
All
So
right,
here
all right,
I've
well,
got
so
3
here's the deal.
instances,
I
and
can't
that's just
think-
off the top of my head. What if the cops can tell me
You've
about
got
more
3 instances of him
instances?
wearing gloves, and wait. In one instance, he was throwing trash away. Can you think of a better reason to wear gloves now?
Yeah.
In the other
Yeah.
instances,
So the
what I
cops
would
can't
say
get my
as a
DNA after a
yeah, it was-
quadruple murder. That's a good reason.
well, yeah, I understand. No, I got you. But maybe throwing trash away, it's okay to wear gloves. I don't know. That's not something I think I'd rest my hat on as a prosecutor. However,
I would
every single
totally put
time
that
that
in
you
my
mention,
opening
well, then you
statement.
might have a problem winning this case. I mean, you're not prosecuting it. So every single time that a prosecutor comes up with a new piece of evidence that requires witnesses to get in, as a defense lawyer, I find that to be wonderful because that gives me a whole nother opportunity to ask questions that may or may not help me argue that there is a reason to have a doubt about the guilt of this man. And every witness is vulnerable. And some of these people are going to rely on are not experienced in handling the cross-examination that I intend to bring them. And if I'm able to say at the end of the case that the prosecutor relies on this person who's unreliable, then why should you convict? We saw it happen. You and I saw it happen together when a man who murdered
Nancy, tell him how you never lost a case before.
a woman, and the man who was driving his Ferrari around town walked because a glove didn't fit. And I'm just saying that there is no foregone conclusion in any jury trial, and these defense lawyers are going to put this prosecution team to the test, clearly.
To Chris McDonough joining me, veteran homicide detective and
That's it?
star. No. I'm going to somebody that's let me just say a little
what we went
less
with you.
impeachable. Chris McDonough. Have you ever heard, which apparently they did not teach this to Mark Tate in moot court in law school, it's SDSU. Sit down and shut up. Okay? That's just one of those things you should learn. It's hard for us lawyers to do that because we think we can just keep talking and then suddenly everybody's going to agree with us. You tell 12 people that this guy has got on surgical gloves in the grocery store. You know why he did that, right? If this could be confirmed, because he's heard about all those cases we've been talking about. Wait till Joe Scott Morgan jumps in on DNA, where cops can get your DNA off a beer can, a coffee cup, a pizza crust. This guy was wearing gloves when he was getting rid of trash in the neighbor's Dixie dumpster, when he was sorting through trash and putting it into plastic Ziploc bags in his kitchen, his parents' kitchen. And it just goes on and on and on. I can't wait for a jury of 12 regular people like us to hear this guy about his surgical gloves all around the time of the murders.
Yeah, absolutely, Nancy. I mean, it just happens to be a coincidence that, he decides to throw his trash out in his neighbor's bin. And then, of course, he takes these 4 a.m. drives, or at least he's awake at 4 a.m. Every moment you think about this guy. If you look at all of his phone pings, does the guy ever sleep? Where we're not seeing these gloves, though? All of these glove incidents show up post-incident. But where we're not seeing it? We're not seeing it in the classroom before the incident. We're not seeing it in any of the photos of traffic stops where he stopped before the homicides. And guess what? We're
Touche, sir.
not seeing it in the courtroom today. So I don't know what the deal is, that a jury wouldn't, say, why is this guy wearing gloves at 4 a.m.? And, good luck for the defense on trying to solve
Hey, hold on. Let me throw this to our DNA expert, Joseph Scott Morgan, professor of forensics. All of this is just anecdotal. My back and forth with Mark Tate, that anecdotal, telling a story. Okay. Can we talk about hard evidence? If it's true to look at the horse's track record, you know what that would tell me? That he wore surgical gloves at some point that night. Okay. When he was in that home murdering those 4 people. And you may ask Joe Scott Morgan, then how would his DNA be on the knife sheath? I'll tell you why. How many times do you think an anal compulsive like Bryan Kohberger had practiced opening that knife and fiddling with that knife and playing with that
Every
knife
day
and
of his life?
admiring that knife? That's how the DNA got on there. I think he wore surgical gloves that night, and I would be very surprised if we find his actual fingerprints anywhere in that home.
It'd be tough to find, I think, and we probably would have an indication of that. But yeah, I've held throughout this, when they found that sheath and that contact DNA was there on the snap. I always had this idea of him actuating the button, sitting there with that snap, trying to flick it back and forth to see how smoothly he could do that. And some people have said, and I've had people say this to me about this, well, why wasn't his DNA found on other locations on the sheath? And this is what I submit. I think that he may have wiped that sheath down at some point in time, but the devil is always in the details, Nancy. That little hidden underneath side of that snap, which I think is where they probably recovered it, is not a place that you would commonly consider to wipe it down if you're looking to, get rid of anything that was there that would be an identifier for you. It's an area that he may have missed, and he left it behind in that one tiny area. I'm also interested in what type of gloves he had at his home. Did they find other gloves? So that's going to be a big tell in this case, Nancy.
Part of the hearing on the 14th is to talk about the different parts of that video that we've received and how we need the whole context. This is the video that they say places this car near the residence. We've received little tiny pieces of that. And we think Bryan's right to a fair trial means the public needs to know that they've withheld the audio from a great portion of that, and that it starts a long time before the little clip that we've received.
Man, is she burying the lead. She's complaining about the audio not being attached to the video. Here's the bombshell. There you're hearing the defense attorney for Bryan Kohberger, Ann Taylor, talking about the existence of video that places Kohberger's car, the white Elantra, near the crime scene. Yeah, that's a big deal. We believe that there is going to be 2 different video clips shown to the jury, one near the home and one near the gas station there at the corner. And I'm going to let Chris McDonough describe the gas station video, what he believes it will portray, and what the video at the home we believe is going to portray. Guys, with me, an all-star panel makes sense of what we know right now. Go ahead, Chris McDonough. Everybody take off your gloves. I promise not to collect your DNA. Well, not during the show anyway. Go ahead.
Yep. So Nancy, right next to the murder scene, there's a house right on the corner there. And outside in the light socket for the front porch was an active surveillance camera. I believe that the evidence will show that that car comes up that street multiple times, and those are the clips that they're holding back, as well as the additional piece of evidence that they're going to show is away from the scene. They're going to show that that vehicle was either A, coming into the crime scene area, and or B, leaving. And I don't know if they're going to be able to correlate that in relationship to some of the phone pings, because remember, he turned his phone off. So, that in of itself is going to be interesting. Now, one other thing I just want to make a point on here is, the defense is saying they need to see this video. Yet they held the alibi for over a year. So my sense is they're still working on that particular forensic side of the evidence that's going to be presented.
In context, that amount of blood around the king that they've gotten tiny.
Grace.
Sorry, sometimes I think it's a commercial, but it's not. It's just her little intermission thing.
To Justice Scott Mogen, forensic expert and professor at Jacksonville State University, I was listening to every word she says, and she's saying that they've gotten tiny pieces of the car near the residence. You know what that tells me also? Tiny pieces of the car, and she wants it in context. That tells me there may be more than one surveillance video around the King Road murder scene that's catching the car. Do you remember the Fotis Dulos prosecution where missing Connecticut mama finds Jennifer Dulos went missing, and there was a copious amount of blood, her blood, found in the garage? You couldn't survive the loss of that much blood, so we know she's dead. And then the police there in Connecticut put together, it was pretty incredible. Let me just say,
impressive, yeah.
yes. A whole scene, a whole timeline via different video of what Fotis Dulos, the husband, now dead, was doing. You see him leaving. You see it pick up with a red light cam, seeing him cutting through. You see him from a business cam surveillance video going by. And all the time he's going straight to the car wash to get the car detailed, but yet still, and even replacing the back seat, which still had Jennifer's hair on it and blood, as I recall. Even when a public bus door opened, you see his car go by, because a lot of the buses have cams in them. And they put together a collage to show his movements. That's what I'm hearing right here, is Ann Taylor is complaining about little tiny pieces of the video placing the car near the residence, according to police, and she doesn't like that, and she thinks that's not fair. But what it is different video cameras picking him up along the way. Did you decipher that? Or am I feeding you, spoon feeding you?
No. Here's the thing, these ring cams and CCTV, obviously, they're more prevalent today than at any other point in time in history. And so we don't necessarily know about where all of these clips are coming from. We do know the area that he was in, allegedly, this car moving back and forth, is going to be the most densely populated area in this geographic location. You get out in these areas that are far flung. Remember the loop that they talk about, that where they were trying to collect images off of these gas station cams and wherever else the car may have passed. This is going to be the target rich area, though, around that residence at that point in time, because you never know. And you think about, just for instance, you think about one of these cars like a Tesla, for instance, that has an indwelling cam that can pick things up. Did they shake the bushes enough to collect enough of this data out there to piece this thing completely together? Apparently, she thinks they may have, Nancy.
Mr. Kohberger has at least now stated that his alibi is he was out driving around that night. We knew that already. And if that's his alibi, so be it. What the defendant has still failed to do is to comply with Idaho Code 19-519 and Idaho Court Rule 12.1.
He wants to know the witnesses.
Requires a defendant to provide identified names of witnesses who will be called to support the alibi along with their addresses.
Okay, the alibi was ripped apart.
Bill's a kind of like one of those guys. He's like be about it. You know what I mean? Like, just do it. let's just do this. Let's do this thing. Let's not shit around. Like, I feel like that's Bill, but Anne she's wanting to take her good old time, but I would want to too if I was Anne.
By the prosecutor in the last
Anne is running
hearing,
that courtroom
and there's
right
a
now.
very good reason for that. Just as the state has to hand over all of their witnesses and how to contact their witnesses for the defense to have the opportunity to interview them prior to trial, the defense has to do that too. So why is it that the only corroboration, Mark Tate, that Kohberger is bringing on is a set of cell phone pings?
But there's nothing wrong with that. The prosecution has indicated they're going to rely on cell phone pings. And the law about alibi in Idaho is anytime after arraignment, you're allowed to tell the prosecutors rather, that you're going to rely on alibi and you have to disclose your witnesses. However, here, the witnesses are cell phone pings. Just like the prosecution's relying on cell phone pings, so is the defendant allowed to rely as well. Now, of course, that's going to be put in front of a jury, just like issues about whether he wore gloves and how strange that is. All of that will be admitted by witnesses, all of whom are subject to a sifting cross-examination. And so now the prosecution knows there's going to be an alibi defense, and when there is, it has to be supported by admissible evidence. And so with each witness comes
the criminal code on evidence to me. I got it. Hey,
that's right.
Liz, could you put?
So that's what the defense law.
She straight said I was falling asleep, and then he said exactly, and he kept talking.
There has to do. That's what they have
Mark
to
Tate
do.
a little bit of
They
his
have to
own
hold the
medicine.
prosecution feet to the fire.
Can you put up that graphic
What
about
is
the
it?
cell
You gonna
phone
make me wear
pings?
gloves?
I've got a pair here for you, but maybe you could borrow Kohberger's. Oh, wait, no, they're in evidence. You know, as we were talking earlier, joining me, Chris McDonough, you were talking about the pings, and you didn't get to say it on air. But Tate is all about, the pings are going to help exonerate him. Wait a minute. Okay, he's at home, 2:42. He's at home, back at home at 5:27. He's at home at 9:32 a.m. But wait a minute. 4:50, phone ping. 4:48, phone turned back on. Wait, 2:47 a.m., right before the murders, in the middle of the night while he's out stargazing, he decides to turn his phone off from 2:47 to 4:48. Wow. Chris McDonough, isn't that exactly when the time the murders occurred?
Yeah, absolutely, Nancy. And what's interesting about that, and you pointed it out, was, the one thing we learned about this alibi as well is all four of the victims are sound asleep. And, the 12 other times that he was seen around that neighborhood, they were also asleep. But in this particular case, you have the phone pings that get up to the point where they turn off. And then all of a sudden the video picks it back up in the neighborhood, i.e. the car. So, to try to sell that, from the defense, whenever you hear a defense attorney say, the public has a right to know, and there's a gag order, that's usually a clue that there's something coming.
Yeah, I don't think the public has a right to know. I think the defendant has a right to know. There's nothing about this that says the public has a right to know. That's the defendant's right to know to defend himself. So I don't really care about the public in defending this guy. I'm just saying that, if the prosecution can use pings, the defendant can use pings.
The people though, buddy, we're the ones that are going to convict or not convict him.
Kohberger has spent over 500 days in jail awaiting trial. Every day in the jail cost $194, totaling nearly $100,000 so far. Kohberger's defense team bills over $500 an hour. The hours police spent cost nearly $1 million. The University of Idaho left with a massive bill, spending $1.4 million on increased security and another $200,000 on counseling and a vigil. It's estimated taxpayers spent roughly $3.6 million as a result of the murders.
$3.6 million. $3.6 million. We're going to go back a couple seconds.
$100,000.
Prosecution can use pings. The defendant can use pings.
Kohberger has spent over 500 days in jail awaiting trial. Every day in the jail cost $194, totaling nearly $100,000 so far. Kohberger's defense team bills over $500 an hour. The hours police spent cost nearly $1 million. The University of Idaho left with a massive bill, spending $1.4 million on increased security and another $200,000 on counseling and a vigil. Its estimated taxpayers spent roughly $3.6 million as a result of the murders.
Wow. Okay, I tried to write that down really fast. So, what was it? The first one. Now I don't even know what I was writing. 500. It was so that went to $100,000. The defense is $500 an hour. The police spent $1 million, and then the school spent $1.4 million, and then $200,000 on counseling. So it's totaling $3.6 million. 500 days in jail. He's been in there over 500 days, and it's $194 each day that he's been in there. So it's roughly $100,000. So $3.6 million. Wow.
What did I just hear?
For Bryan Kohberger's defense team to pretty much spend at will. Never heard of anything like this in my life, Nancy Grace.
Okay, a total of $3.6 million the taxpayers have paid for Kohberger.
Wasn't Lori Vallow's whole trial $5 million?
Say we pay the taxpayer money. I wish they would actually send me a questionnaire about what I'm willing to pay for, ahead of time, because this is ridiculous.
$3.6 million on Kohberger and all of his defense attorneys and experts. We're now learning about Kohberger bringing on another expert to try and shore up his alibi. Cha-ching! Listen.
The document filed serves as Kohberger's official alibi and claims, quote, Mr. Kohberger was out driving in the early morning hours of November 13, 2022, as he often did to hike and run and or see the moon and stars. He drove throughout the area south of Pullman, Washington, west of Moscow, Idaho, including Wawawi Park. To further solidify his alibi, Kohberger said he plans to offer testimony from a CSLI expert to show that he was south of Pullman and west of Moscow at the time of the murders and that he did not travel east on the Moscow-Pullman Highway in the early morning hours of November 13, 2022.
Okay, Chris McDonough, what is a CSLI expert?
That expert, Nancy, will be an individual that will be able to tell the investigators and or the jury what the signature is of that phone, i.e. the information coming out of that phone to the nearby cell towers.
To you, Karen Stark, I know, I hope the state doesn't get bogged down in a lot of scientific evidence. That's what happened in the Tot Mom Casey Anthony trial, where she killed her daughter Kelly and was acquitted. But that evidence was true, but it did get bogged down. You know what? Once the jury hears that after the murders, this guy went everywhere wearing plastic gloves, I mean, I don't need an expert to tell me that's evidence of guilt. And I don't mean just that, Karen Stark, not just that, of course. The DNA on the knife, the fact that he ordered the exact same knife and sheath from Amazon, but what it's missing, nobody can find it. The cell phone, the video string cobbled together where we see his movements that night. There's so much evidence, Karen, much less this.
You're talking about a guy who needs complete control and dominance, Nancy. I know this is going to come out. I mean, how telling is it that the phone is on and right before the murders, he turns it off? And that to me is completely compelling. And this guy, he has a history of staring at women to the point where they throw him out of restaurants. But he's been complained about. He's been said that he's odd. He takes control in a classroom. He studies how to do murders.
Well, Karen Stark, it hasn't come out yet. And I don't think that it will be part of the evidence because it will be very inflammatory. But when I was in Moscow and around Pullman, speaking to people there, several female students came up to talk about how angry he would act at them, graded them much more severely than he did men. I mean, it was very compelling evidence that this guy hates women. I mean, I had to be a shrink to figure out why, but I bet the jury will never hear all that. Everything changing every day in the lead up to this trial. Let's stop.
That's Nancy's opinion on Bryan Kohberger. I think Bryan Kohberger liked women. I don't think he was an insult. I think he liked women. I mean, he was at that pool party. He walked up to that lady with the tattoo on her leg, was like, "Hey, girl, can I get your number?" And that girl was like, "Yeah." And then he looked at her best friend. He's like, "Can I get your number too?" And she was like, "Yeah." So I don't know.
And remember, American hero, Captain Jack Casey, just 26.
Right at the end.
Casey passed away with 4 other Marines in a helicopter crash this February. A U.S. Marine, he earned the National Defense Service Medal. He is survived by grieving wife Emma, his mother Catherine, and his father James. American hero, Captain Jack Casey. Everyone, I want to thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you to our guests.
Okay, we got you, Nancy. We hear you loud and clear. We hear you loud and clear. But that was the newest podcast from Miss Nancy Grace. She actually did a podcast over A Girl Today, and it was like I guess it's like an unsolved unaliving, and it looked very interesting to me. But I'll have to look more into it. So let me get. Oh, I thought I was up here this whole time. Don't you love it when I do that? I just think I'm on the screen because I'm looking at other tabs. I'm just like looking around. So basically today there were supposed to be 2 hearings. Let me actually go back over here so I can read them to you better. But he was supposed to go to court today. He was supposed to have 2 hearings. One was on the 4th and 5th motion to compel discovery from the defense, and the other one was for the IGG information. They were going to address that situation. They vacated both the court hearings and they reset it. They reset them for, let me get that document back up because there was a lot of different dates. So this is vacated. So May 23rd, they're going to have, the defense is going to have a witness testify, but that's probably going to be sealed. And they're only available to testify on the 23rd. So that's why they're doing that on the 23rd. Then on May 30th, they're going to have a hearing on the 30th. And they may have one on the 31st. It says they're going to reserve the space. So we'll see. It says beginning at 10 a.m. So he must have scheduled this one 1:30. Oh yeah, he knows. He knows. Anne, when she gets Bricka Barlow up there, she's going to be, and Leah Larkin, is that her name? Something like that. You know what I mean? She's going to be talking. She's going to be talking a lot. But I wonder why her other friend ain't coming back with red hair. I don't know. Scentbird scents are coming. Oh, that sounds like fun, Mary Beth. You're going to smell good. Wow. I want to know who the sealed witnesses are too. Yeah, I want to know who this witness is. They're going to testify. Yeah. Let me read that again because they did too. They said, and they didn't put that in bold writing. That's what we want to hear. Where was it at? It says on May 23rd, 2024 at 2:30 p.m. So if anyone lives in Latah County and they can get like a cup put up against the wall, or something, or if we can get JLR to like sneak in there undercover. At 2:30, the defense will call a witness to testify. The testimony will relate to defendant's 4th and 5th motions to compel. Because the witness is unavailable to testify on May 30th, the testimony will take place on May 23rd. It says it will be open to the public. I forgot, but it says on there that if they have to close it down because like there's something that is said that's like sealed, which I don't know how they're going to do that if it's live, they're going to shut it down and then have a closed hearing about it. But if they say something, how's the judge going to be able to shut the live off? We'll end up seeing it. Just make sure we're all here live, because I'm wondering. Damn, this keyboard. I have a really nice keyboard, but I still can't type. Hey, Arlo. Oh, so that's all I got for you, but I was going to tell you something really good. Some good news. good news for me, and good news for me means good news for y'all, So that's all I have, I guess, for Idaho. Let me think before I tell you anything else. I don't think there's anything else out. Hey Shay, we watched a little bit of that episode you were telling us about though. I shouted it out. I was like, Shay told me about this. I only did like the 40-minute version, but it was really good. But what I was going to tell you was it's not like that great. But so do you remember last week when I went to the dentist and I told y'all, I said, say a prayer for me. I have to get these crowns done. And, I said, they're a little expensive. I said, just need some prayers. That's all I need. And you guys, y'all, I got a phone call today and she said that my bridge, like not the bridge, I'm sorry, it's a post and like a core buildup that isn't covered with insurance. It's $400. But this is a big but. This is the biggest but. My crowns are covered. All my crowns will be covered. Y'all, why didn't I tell you guys to pray for the core buildup too? I don't know how you guys did it, but y'all prayed for me that night. And I'm telling you, if y'all need prayers, come over to this chat group. I'm not even kidding y'all. Yes, isn't that exciting, Ashley? So it went from originally being $3,500, that would have been just for the permanent. So probably like $5,000 to $400. I about fell out of my chair today because she said it's covered by insurance. And I said, oh my God, Vincent, is she talking about my crowns? Is she talking about the crowns? So I texted her back and I said, are you talking about the crowns? And she's like, oh yeah, the crowns are covered. She's like, but the post, I only need that one post or that core buildup thingy. I only need one of them. So cap them all, cap every single one of them. Oh, I'm just so excited. There's just a couple things that it would just make me feel better. I'm going to be able to eat on both sides. That'll be amazing because food tastes so much better over here, but I never use that side. So I'm just I'm super excited. What happened to baby girl? My sister went to the dentist. Oh, they had her nerve in her mouth and she can't feel her taste. Oh no. I know how that feels just from all the nerve damage I have. I can't taste that much. I can't. You think that would improve with the eyesight going, but it didn't. I'm sorry to hear that though. My dentist did so much bad though. This is so good. You guys have been here with me for all of it. I went to a dentist that wanted to take out half of my mouth. If it wasn't for me going to this other dentist, that tooth would have been gone. Now I can save it for $400. Sign me up any day of the week. It is a huge relief, Lenora. So I wanted to thank you guys because when I got that phone or that text message today, I was like, why didn't I tell them to pray for the core buildup too? So I would check into lawsuit. Yeah. They always do, baby girl. Did she go to Comfort Dental? Because I went to that place and it was terrible. That was a place that really, really messed with me. They pulled a tooth that didn't need to be pulled. They tried to root canal a tooth, but when they root canaled it, they didn't dry it out. So it got infected. I had to get all of that taken out just recently. All the metal taken out of my teeth, put back in a little bit. We did a lot of work over the last few months. So, and I'm just so excited. I just be able to, I feel like be a better creator and everything because I won't be worried about how I'm talking. Sometimes my teeth, when I don't know if I have a cavity or something down here, it'll rub on my tongue. So I'm talking weird because I'm hurting myself to talk and, so. Monarch? No, I don't think I did. No. This Comfort Dental is where I went and it was terrible. It was so bad when I went there that I was crying and I went on YouTube or Facebook Live. I've never done a Facebook Live before that, but I was like, it's so bad. I need someone to just comfort me. And then my sister-in-law and my brother was calling me and they're all like, Tanya, what's going on? What's going on? And I was freaking out. I was having a bad day. And then that was even the day that they told me they wanted to take 6 of my teeth out. And I was like, no, sir, I'm going to go get a different opinion. And I did. And now look at me. Just the back. 33,000. Oh my God. Nancy, I feel you. That's what mine was. I was going to get permanents. But the thing is with me, this one here, okay, that one they wanted to pull is it's right there in the front. I can't get a permanent put in there because Vincent was like, we'll just get you a permanent. but I have metal. I have a metal plate. So right here, none of those teeth can get they can't drill the metal. There's like a metal screw that goes into your gum, and that's what they put the tooth on. And I can't do that. Oh, Monarch, that really good dental does go. Oh my gosh, good dental is so important. Like for the first 3 years after my wreck, I couldn't find one. Then I found a really good one. And then they didn't take my insurance anymore. So then I found another one. And then my transportation got mixed up. So I ended up losing a good dentist, which I really hated. So then I was trying to find another one. I couldn't find another one, found one. They messed up my teeth so bad. So now I'm going to Ohio State and they're amazing. And they're students, but they have to check every single thing with the dentist there, like everything. Like anything that they touch on you, they're like, can you come look first? Like it's nice. Nancy said she's usually here, but don't chat. Well, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're in the chat with us. We usually just chit chat for a minute at the end of the live, just chit chat. If anyone wants to stay and hang out, we usually do it for a few minutes. Good night, Walt. Have a wonderful evening. But yeah, no, good dental care is like, it's very important. You're being able to eat is like, I guess I took things for granted. No, I mean, my mouth was wired shut. So I think I know how it feels to eat, not be able to eat, but like, this is just different. And this is because of my mouth being wired shut. Over where? Oh, how do you survive? We don't survive. The dental coverage in the United States is so expensive. And it's because they consider it cosmetic. If it's in the front, the forefront, top or bottom, those are all considered cosmetic. And a lot of times insurance won't cover that. And I'm like, what? Huh? Really, Michelle? Yeah, the University of Michigan dental is great. Yeah. Go if you have an opportunity and you're getting like that and you don't like your dentist, go to a university college, have them look at you. That a lot of them, they'll take medical, they'll take Medicaid, things of that nature. So, make sure you get checked out because, man, I wish I would have done this forever ago. Oh, man, I'm just so happy because I looked at Vince and I was like, it's going to be $400. And he's like, okay. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay, cool. Cool. Because, I got $400. Like, I got $400 to be sending. But he's like, we got you. He was like doing the math before and it was like 40 some thousand. So I think he's like, okay, that's fine. But, oh, and one more thing of good news. So this is my last good thing of good news. So my eye doctor, my eye surgeon, who I had when I first started going to see an eye surgeon, he was the one who was there when they removed my real eye. And, he was just my surgeon. Well, he ended up leaving and going to another hospital right down the road from Ohio State, and they didn't take my insurance. Well, I just found out a few months ago that he does take my insurance now. And since I'm in between doctors, well, I have like a new surgeon, but I don't really like him. We're not clicking. Like I've had one surgery with him and we're not clicking. My girl that I had, she left and she moved to New York. So I was devastated. So now I'm going back to him, my original surgeon, because he does take my insurance now. And they finally got all the medical papers sent over. So I finally have an appointment in August to go see him. I'm like, that's what's up. So things are looking good for me on the health field, just got to go back to the spine doctor, go to the regular doctor, those things, but see, Mr. Rosebud, I don't pay much. I don't pay anything. I have really good insurance. I'm extremely, extremely lucky. I thank God all the time. Healthcare is disgusting in this country. Yeah. They do. Yeah. Other countries, they do take care of you better. We should have better healthcare coverage in this country, but we don't. The only thing I can tell you to do is just try to apply for medical, like through Medicaid, through your job and family services. If you don't make a lot of money, especially if you have kids, I would definitely try that. But I'm going to jump off here. And I actually couldn't imagine how much the dialysis cost. Was it Lenore? This was like $10,000 a month for cancer treatments. It's just, that's insane. But I love you guys. Be careful tonight. Lock your doors, lock your windows, all those things. Abscesses are the worst. Oh, they are. Yeah, they are. Well, you guys, I was in the chat and I was like, what do I use for a toothache? And you guys were like clove oil and it worked. Like I'm telling y'all, you guys know what's up. You guys do. But thank you guys so much for being here tonight. I really appreciate it. And I do appreciate the thoughts and prayers because they did work. Every time I ask y'all for those, they work. I don't know what it is with you guys, but must be because it's such a great community. But I appreciate you guys. I'll see you all tomorrow evening at 9:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bye, guys.